Good morning, and welcome to the daily devotion video here at Mount Calvary Lutheran Church for Friday, August 22nd. I am Vicar Zachary. So for this last week, we've been taking a look at four images that came out of two books by C.S. Lewis, The Screwtape Letters and The Great Divorce. For this Friday morning, I want to do a bit of a recap because we've looked at how each one of these images gives us a view of sin and the danger of temptation. But I didn't go into super detail about how Christ helps us work through all of these things and the importance of Jesus Christ in dealing with our sin and temptation. So to start, I want to look at a verse that I used yesterday. It comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. No temptation has overtaken you that is not common to man. God is faithful, and he will not let you be tempted beyond your ability. But with the temptation, he will also provide a way of escape, that you might be able to endure it. You see, God provides us the strength to deal with these temptations. And while they often might come off as overwhelming or everywhere, which they certainly can be, God still has us in the palm of his hand through each and every one of them. And every time that we face these temptations, he tells us what to do. He tells us, cry out to him, cry to him, go to the Lord as a fortress and a refuge against the powers of sin and the devil. You know, one of the things that I find most interesting, particularly about Christ, is that we kind of blur past the fact that Christ became a man. Now, we read this every Christmas season, how, God came down and was incarnate, and he was born of the Virgin Mary. We say this in the Creed, but we don't really necessarily think about what that means. You see, prior to this point, God and man were very different. That we had our sinful condition, and God was God. He was perfect, he is good, and he still is. But by Jesus coming down and being incarnate as a human, God has now subjected himself to all of those same temptations and sins that we deal with. And I have always found that that is very humbling and at the same time very reassuring. We can see in Matthew that the devil comes to Christ in the desert and very plainly attempts to tempt him. That he tells him, you're hungry, so turn these breads into bread, or turn these stones into bread. Well, that didn't work. All right, well, I'll put you to the test. Throw yourself off of a temple and have your angels catch you, and then everyone will know you are God. And that doesn't work. And then finally, the devil tempts him by offering him all the kingdoms of the world if only Christ will bow down and worship him. And that doesn't work either. You see, while Christ remains perfect, it doesn't mean that he was immune to the temptations and effects that the devil places on humanity. Christ was perfect for us. He took on sin and died on the cross for us. And for that, we are eternally thankful. But even beyond that, we hear in the words of 1 John that Christ is our advocate with the Father. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want an advocate who doesn't know what I've been through. What good is someone who advocates for me, who doesn't know what I struggle with, who doesn't know the kind of pains that I have, the situation that I'm in, and the sins that I deal with? Other than that, he might just be a representative. But that's not the word that we get. We get the word advocate. You see, Christ understands our sin because he's gone through it. He understands the secret sins that we keep and the shame that goes along with it. He knows and understands all of the ways in which we are tempted by boredom and novelty. He understands the way that we are focused on the future, but never now and never so far into the future as to actually understand what's going on. And he understands that there is a pressure to conform to the people around us. Christ has dealt with all of it. He has dealt with hunger. He has dealt with pain. He has dealt with loneliness. but Christ has come through blameless. And it is because of Christ's victory against sin that we too can have comfort and knowledge that we too will be saved. And that when Christ goes to the Father as our advocate, he comes and says, I understand them. I've been with them. I've been them. I know what she struggles with. I've felt it. I know what he's hiding because I have gone through it. And so when Christ goes to the Father, he comes as an honest and real advocate, as someone who defends us against the law, so that we might be clothed in his righteousness and invited through the gates of heaven. I want to end off this devotion and this week with some words from Psalm 34, starting at verse 15 and continuing to the end. The eyes of the Lord are towards the righteous, his ears towards their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the memory of them from the earth. When the righteous cry for help, the Lord hears and delivers them from their troubles. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers him out of them all. He keeps all his bones, not one of them is broken. Affliction will slay the wicked, and those who hate the righteous will be contemned. But the Lord redeems the life of his servants. None of those who take refuge in him will be condemned. Christ saves us from our affliction, and God rescues us from condemnation. And we can have confidence in the promises of God, and confidence that when our Lord is an advocate to the Father, he is a fair and honest advocate that comes on behalf of the love for us and understanding of our condition. I want to thank you so much for joining me this week for the next set of my daily devotions. And I look forward to seeing you again in the next set. Have a wonderful rest of your